Before we get started, I have to mention that we all acknowledge that this meeting is being recorded. So you all should have gotten a little prompt from Zoom. Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters, guests, if we have any dignitary guests. Yes, we do. So my name is Ray Melendez, and I will serve you tonight as Sergeant at Arms. As we start our next awesome, exciting meeting, I'm going to ask that everybody does their best to avoid any distractions. And as I've mentioned in the last couple of meetings, let's do our best to keep ourselves muted while others are speaking. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, is our president here?
No, he's not. So I'm filling in for our president, Shastri.
So let's pass this meeting on to Shay Grigg.
Good evening and welcome to our Monday night Wellington Toastmasters meeting, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. My name is Shay, and I'm honored to serve as the Vice President of Education here at Wellington Toastmasters Club. I thank you guys for all being here. It's always good to see your faces and such an encouragement. I want to acknowledge our guests tonight. I see Mayana Hammonds. Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Mayana. How are you?
Mayana, welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm looking swiftly for any other new faces. No, you are the lucky guest in the house. Well, we want you to feel warm and welcome.
Thank you.
So what is your reason for being here, or who invited you? How'd you find out?
So I have been looking into joining Toastmasters for probably the past couple of years. And one of my girlfriends at work shared with me that she had joined her Toastmasters in Ohio. And so I said, you know what, I better hunker down and get this done. I'm looking to be promoted in the next 3 to 5 years. And with that promotion comes the opportunity to speak to hundreds of people in a room. So I want to make sure that I can do it with poise, confidence, and not saying a whole bunch of uhs. And so that's why I'm here today.
All right, you're in the right place. Welcome, Mayana. Our mission statement to our members and future members is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence. It's a pleasure to have, again, all of you here at the meeting and to keep our meetings flowing smoothly. I am going to call on our lovely Stacy Kessler as our Toastmaster of the day. Welcome.
Thank you, fellow Vice President of Education. That's a large position to have in the Wellington Toastmasters, and I just want to commend you, Shay, for always being in excellence, putting forth the platform of education for the Wellington Toastmasters, working on the scripts, the behind the scenes of what the Toastmasters format presents to all of us each week in the forefront. Let's put our hands together for our Vice President of Education, Toastmaster Shay Graves. Let's put our hands together for her. Big positions, and I want to commend each and every one of you for being here this evening and choosing you this evening. As Toastmaster of the Day, I serve as your Master of Ceremonies. For the benefit of our guests, our new members, a traditional Toastmaster meeting has 3 sections. First section is the formal speeches, then we have table topics, and then we have our evaluations. My invitation to you is to use the chat this evening for feedback for those who speak, those who also do evaluation, as well as the roles that we all are playing this evening, such as the Toastmaster of the day. Although I'm conducting in the Master of Ceremonies, it's always wonderful to hear what it was that you loved, what area of the speech or the role can you give feedback on, and how could you wrap that up with what worked well in relativity to the audience. Our meeting theme this evening is Spring is in the Air. How will you bloom? And you could take that in the context of however it sits on your heart. How it sat on my heart is spring is a time where all of the germination of seeds that have been planted begin to blossom. Figuring out for yourself, how are you blossoming? What does your ascension look like currently? And I know that our table topics master, Gary Newper, this evening is going to be working off of that theme. So be with that, because he may just surprise you this evening and ask you a question that you get to answer in an extemporaneous kind of way. Our guest this evening, Mayana, to bring forth your poise and your confidence, would you like to speak this evening, possibly in table topics? It's a 1 to 2 minute speech that Gary may ask you a question and you can just answer, and however it comes from your heart, I believe it's going to be perfect for us this evening. If you're open to that, you may say yes to that or even decline it. How do you feel about that?
I kind of want to say yes, but I kind of want to wait and see how it goes, and for sure next week.
Perfect. So typically what we do is we have a Toastmaster that has been in the club for quite a while speak first. If you see that you could possibly jump in and use your confidence and your poise, feel free to raise your hand and let Gary Newper, the Table Topics Master, know that you are ready to be honored with that privilege this evening. Throughout the meeting, our members do have the opportunity to practice their listening, critical thinking, and management skills by serving in various roles. Our Toastmaster, who is playing our counter this evening, is Toastmaster Jack Miller, who is our treasurer of the Wellington Toastmaster. Jack, could you please share what your role is this evening?
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. As counter, my role is to catch any, well, I got to read it the wrong way. Okay. The purpose of the counter is to note any word or sound used as a crutch by anyone who speaks during the meeting. Words may be inappropriate interjections, double starts, you know, that type of thing. If I hear that, you'll hear a little, did you hear that? Does that work?
Perfectly.
Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack Miller. The next role that is going to be fulfilled this evening will be the role as the grammarian, the word master. I didn't even know what the word grammarian meant before I became a Toastmaster. Anybody here know what the word grammarian meant before you became a Toastmaster? No one, right? What a great role that the grammarian, Toastmaster Sonia Garate, gets to play this evening. Please share your role with us, Sonia.
Absolutely. One benefit of Toastmasters is that it helps people improve their grammar and word use. Being grammarian provides an exercise in expanding my listening skills. I have a few responsibilities, which is to bring new words to the club, to comment on language used tonight, and to provide examples of eloquence. So today's word, as you can see next to my name, is transmogrify. That's a verb, and it means to transform greatly, especially in a strange or magical way. For those of you who play games or are gamers, you might know the word transmog as to change the appearance of your weapons or your armor as you're playing. And to use the word in a sentence, Toastmaster members quickly transmogrify into confident speakers and inspiring leaders. So I encourage anyone speaking tonight to please try and use the word transmogrify. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia Garate. It has been my honor and privilege to witness the transmography in you, Toastmaster Sonia Garate, as well as all of the members that are here this evening. And we're going to witness this evening one of our newest Toastmasters that I'm going to introduce to you next as our timer and our general timer, as she brings forth what her role is this evening, Diana Salazar, Toastmaster Diana Salazar. Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Diana. Please share your role, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. I will be the general timer for today. I am responsible for monitoring the time of each speaker. I operate the timing signal to indicate speech length. Timing begins with the first definite verbal or nonverbal communication with the audience. As the general timer, whomever is speaking and has control of the meeting, please pay attention to the red color behind me, as this means you get to wrap up where you are as quickly, professionally, and efficiently as possible. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Diana. Would you like to practice the colors now so that when we're in the midst of the meeting that we're sure that we're all clear of what those colors look like behind you?
Yes, Toastmaster of the day. I will be displaying the green card, and it will look like that, the yellow card, and the red card.
Ooh. Thank you, Toastmaster Diana. For the next role that will be played tonight in the Wellington Toastmasters meeting, this is a very important role, and this role is going to be, be done by our Toastmaster, Justin Gwen, who will be the general evaluator of the evening. Please, Justin, could you share the role that you will be playing this evening?
Yes, of course, Toastmaster of the day. If one thinks of a club meeting as a project, then think of the general as a quality control manager. I will be commenting on the overflow of today's meeting and giving feedback for each role. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin Gwen. And the benefit of teammanship in our club is that Justin has taken this role on at the very last moment for someone who was going to be doing this role this evening, was not feeling well, which is our Toastmaster Micheline. So we will send her loving and healing prayers as our Toastmaster Justin was so kind enough to take on this role. So thank you at the last minute, Justin, for fulfilling the role of the general evaluator, being that it is a very important position for our Toastmasters meeting. At this time, I'm going to introduce to you our topics master of the evening. Our topic master is Toastmaster Gary Nooper. Would you please share what your role will be this evening, Toastmaster Gary Nooper?
Toastmaster of the day. The topics master gives members who are not assigned a significant speaking role the opportunity to speak during the meeting. I will challenge each member with the subject, and they will respond with a 1 to 2 minute impromptu talk. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary Nooper. At this time, the first section of our meeting is about to begin, and that is our formal speeches, which are prepared speeches based on specific projects that are in our Pathways education system. This evening, we have 3 speakers. I'm going to have the evaluator for speaker 1, Toastmaster Shay Graves, share with you the project and the purpose of our first speaker, Denny Lamore's speech this evening. Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Shay Graves.
Thank you. Our first speaker speech is Denny Lamar. It's entitled Extemporaneous. His project goal is to present a well-organized, well-supported speech on any topic, applying the feedback given from the previous speech. The speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. And again, the speech title is Extemporaneous.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay Graves. Extemporaneous. That was another word that I didn't know until I became a Wellington Toastmaster. Who knew, let's be honest, who knew what the word extemporaneous means before you became a Toastmaster? Anyone? Great job for Shay. Great job, Connie. I did not know myself. It looks like most of us learned that as being a Toastmaster. Let's go ahead and welcome our newest Toastmaster, who is presenting an extemporaneous speech. And he, Denny Lamore, he is always ready to rock. Put your hands together for Toastmaster Denny Lamore.
Thank you, Stacy, and thank you, Shay, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and guests, for being here today. So my extemporaneous speech today is a little bit of a story about myself. I believe that I'm a compilation of my life experiences. My name is Denny Lamore, and I'm a little bit from everywhere. I am from a little bit of everywhere, to correct myself. Born in New York and raised in Haiti, I believe I was gifted a special viewpoint in life. Not only that, but I'm also Black Cupid. I've joined Toastmasters to learn how to better express exactly that. From the American dream to Haiti's harsh realities and back again, life has always dealt me the most interesting of hands. Growing up, I got to see and experience many moments way above my grasp. I never understood why I was so different than everyone all the time. I felt like a pariah, but I could always fit in though. Through the blessing of 2 healthy and beautiful parents, I was gifted all natural abilities a person could ever wish for. But with no male role model until the age of 23, I learned of a lot of what I know through trial and error. A major point I took away from the experience was to be always aware of my environment and adapt. I can recall being taken and dropped off with a brand new guardian in a brand new country, in a brand new school. Have you ever experienced being moved abruptly from one place to another that had completely different cultures? If you have, then you know that is never an easy adjustment. From what I have been told about myself due to lapse of memory, I fared well against odds that were stacked against me. I never got through any of the obstacles alone though, and that proves true through today. It is important that I highlight the roles women in my family played. At one point or another, I was cared for by at least 5 different women in the family, including my mother. My mother was a tremendous woman, and she always did everything in her power to ensure that I was safe and provided for. My circumstances dictated her decisions, which always led to the toughest decisions being made. If I were raised in New York, where I was born, I could not imagine being the same person I am today. Beside my mother, my grandmother played one of the most essential roles, laying the foundation of great habits and consistency during my most impressionable years. I remember long days and nights studying, practicing the piano, or whatever activities I was into at the time, skills that I utilize in other ways today. My 3 wonderful aunts who all got a short taste of living with dear old me, they taught me to man up uncannily. It might have been the only reason I remained a sensible human being throughout my journey. Today, I have a strong bond with a male role model, my godfather. He began playing a much needed role after my very unpleasant circumstances. Today, I live for more than just myself. I live for my mother, my family, and all the people she was helping in Haiti. I see no other purpose to live, but to live for the livelihood of others. For the longest amount of time, I believed I had to make it on my own. And because of that, I missed precious moments that I could never get back with the person I love the most. If I'm not having fun or enjoying myself, then what is the purpose? I found happiness in aiding and being with others. I see a lot of pain in the world, which might just reflect my interior, but my hope is to ease some of it. So what is my life about? I can answer that now. I got diagnosed with depression a few weeks ago, but I don't plan on taking the meds. The suppression of our feelings and rights I can no longer accept. I will be numb no more. My purpose is to aid Haiti in transmogrifying into a better nation. Thank you, Toastmasters and fellow guests. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Toastmaster Denny Lamore, let us all bow to you for that beautiful transformational speech that you've just made as we get to witness how you will bloom in this next time from here on out. Your speech was impacting, and I loved how you brought forth all of the divine feminine roles that played a significant value of your life, as well as the role that your godfather has played on your life as well. And now, Denny, if it's to be, it's up to me for Denny to transform and transmogrify into the incredible being that we all see him to be. Toastmaster Denny Lamore, great job this evening. Thank you for sharing. Speaker 2, we're going to have an introduction by our, let's see, who would that person be? It's going to be our evaluator 2. I know who this person is. Toastmaster Mark Alexander Kessler. Could you please share with us the speech project of the evening for the person that you're going to be doing your evaluation on, which is Toastmaster Heon Green. Lucky you. Put your hands together.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The purpose of this project is to identify your primary leadership style or styles. Complete the Discover Your Leadership Style questionnaire. Consider how your leadership style impacts the people around you and how you can adjust to more effectively lead people with styles different from your own. Heon will be delivering a 5 to 7 minute speech at a club meeting tonight. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mark Alexander Kessler. 2-hour timer at this moment. Toastmaster Diana Salazar, would you be so kind to share with us what the timing signals will look like for Toastmaster Heon Green's speech?
No problem. Toastmaster of the day. I will display a green card at 5 minutes, a yellow card at 6 minutes, a red card at 7 minutes, and I'll clap off the speaker at 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Diana. A winning speech is the title of Toastmaster Heon Green's speech this evening. And Heon will share what she has observed during the many speech contests of the past 2 weeks. Our Toastmaster, Heon Green, is not only a Wellington Toastmaster, she serves as a dignitary in the Toastmasters community, which means that she not only is a Toastmaster here at our club, but her role is to serve several clubs in the leadership of what they bring forward as the Toastmasters clubs in each area. This evening, I'm going to put my hands together and be so proud and honored as we've got to witness the transmography of Toastmaster Heon Green. Put your hands together, Toastmasters. Woohoo!
Madam Toastmaster of the evening, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Mayana, where are you? Tonight is your lucky night because I am going to let you in on the World of Toastmasters speech contest that we do twice a year, one in the spring one in the fall. And in the past 2 weeks, past 2 short weeks, I got to observe and listen over 30 international speech contestants and over 30 table topics contestants. And I'm going to share with you the analysis and observation of mine of what makes your speech a winning speech. What really makes your speech stand out when you are competing with other fellow Toastmasters of equal or similar Toastmaster skills? It's not that difficult, actually. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's not that difficult when you follow the Toastmasters rubric of judging. It's an open source. You can go to toastmasterinternational.org and download the judging criteria. For international speeches, we are judged in 3 categories. One is content, heaviest. The next one is delivery. The third one is language. Out of 100 points, content gets 50 points. Delivery gets 30 points. And language gets 20 points. On the level of area contest, there isn't much fluctuation in the way of language. Most of the contestants, if not all, speak appropriately. Appropriateness is another subcategory under language, and with correct grammar. So we don't really, I don't want to say pay attention, but these 2 categories don't really make or break. What really makes or breaks a speech is obviously in the content. What do you mean when you say content, you might ask? What comes to your mind? There are 3 subcategories on the content. First one is speech development. Makes sense, doesn't it? Second one is effectiveness. Third one is speech value. These 3 subcategories together make up 50 points out of 100. So all of you, our future international speech or humorous speech contestants, keep in mind content, speech development, effectiveness, and speech value. Speech development is almost self-explanatory. Is it structured well? Is your speech organized well? Do you have supporting material? Does all this together flow well? That's speech development in content. Effectiveness, what does it mean? What does it mean when I say, is your speech effective? What do you want to achieve from your speech? What is the purpose of your speech? Are the audience members interested in your speech? Is my speech well received by the audience? That's speech effectiveness. I'll give you an example right after this one. Speech value is the 3rd subcategory on the content. What's the idea? Does it have logic? Is it original? And I have heard speeches where the speaker started quoting one book after another book. That speech lost points in originality, for sure. And is it thoughtful? In the past Saturday contest, I had to listen to 3 wonderful speeches. Man, I agonized. I tormented myself with who to give the first, who to give the second, who to give the third. They were all very good. As I said, in the language part, they scored the perfect score. Delivery was wonderful. For vocal variety, manner, everything was wonderful. In the end, what made one speech better than the other was in the speech value, in my opinion. In the content, let me repeat, in the content section, there are 3: speech, development. All 3 speakers developed their speech very well. Strong beginning, wonderful body, and great wrap up. They did wonderfully, all 3 of them. And effectiveness, the originality, the way they spoke really pulled at the heartstring of at least mine. They were fantastic. One speaker talked about his blindness that he developed when he was 60 years old and how he triumphed that blindness. Another speaker talked about being lost in the nature. The third speaker talked about overcoming domestic abuse. So you can imagine all 3 speeches were fantastic. In the speech value section, I believe the winner became the winner because of the original thought, the depth of the pain he suffered, and the height of the triumph he achieved. So please remember this, future Toastmaster winners: content, delivery, and language. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Heon Green. Let's put our hands together for Toastmaster Heon Green. If anyone is not familiar with the view angle of Zoom, when a speaker or anyone who speaks this evening, if you click on the view button, you can go to the speaker view, and that person will be the forefront in front of you so that you can see them up close and personal. Heon Green, impacting extremely every topic that you hit on. Content was excellent and relative to our audience this evening. The delivery, impeccable delivery with the way that you had your speech organized. And of course, your language and the way that you bring forth the message is always impactful. Thank you, Toastmaster Heon Green. Thank you. Our next speaker, I'm going to introduce in just a few moments, as soon as her evaluator, Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez, shares with us what her project, Toastmaster Connie Andrews' mission is this evening and her project. Please share. Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Today, Toastmaster Connie Andrews will explain her leadership style and how it can adjust to different styles, different from her own. The topic of her speech is, what type of leader are you? She's in level 2 of dynamic leadership. Toastmaster Connie expressed to me that she would love to improve on her word use tonight and use the least or no filler words if possible. She's going to be working on using no ahs and no so's. To Connie Andrews, her speech length will be 5 to 7 minutes, and we wish her the best, and we would like to welcome her to the podium. Thank you so much.
Before we welcome her to the podium, we first will have the timer, Toastmaster Diana Salazar, give to us the timing signals, as well as Connie, so she knows what her signals are. Toastmaster Diana.
Yes, Toastmaster of the Day. I will display the green card at 5 minutes, the yellow card at 6 minutes, and the red card at 7 minutes. I will clap off the speaker at 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Diana, and hopefully we will not have to clap Toastmaster Connie Andrews off this evening. Also, Toastmasters, remember in the chat box what was just requested of our evaluator, Toastmaster Michelle. Word used tonight as using no filler words. If you were aware of what her project was about, please go ahead and give her that feedback so that she knows what worked, what she could possibly add with your feedback, and how it was relative to the audience this evening. What kind of leader are you? Connie has been a Toastmaster for over 3 years now. She loves to compete, bring humor, fun, expression, emotion, authenticity, and vulnerability to her speeches. She loves to see the humor in all things. Tonight, she will try and express the humorous side of leadership, if there is one. My question to you and Connie's question to you is, what kind of leader are you? Toastmaster Connie Andrews. Let's put our hands together. Woohoo! You can unmute, Connie.
What kind of leader are you? Perhaps you know the answer to that question already. Or is it possible that you don't see yourself or consider yourself a leader? We all have the opportunity to be leaders. And I know that there's a leader inside every one of you here this evening. Tonight, I will speak about 3 leadership qualities, 3 leadership types. As I share with you, my goal is for you to listen and decide which leader type are you out of the 3, or maybe it's a combination of all 3. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, dignitaries, and our guest, Mayana. I never considered myself a leader until I was in my mid-30s. I had a great opportunity to sell a product by the name of Tupperware. Some of you may be very familiar with that product. You probably have it in your refrigerator. It's great for leftovers. Not only did I get the opportunity to sell this product, but I also had the opportunity to build a team of women that were going to do the same thing that I was doing, to build a team. So I had the opportunity to recruit. I had to find women that were going to follow me and do what I was showing them to do, to start their own Tupperware selling business. See if you can fit into any one of these categories. There are 3 types. There's many types, but I'm picking 3 tonight. There is the democratic leader. The democratic leader makes decisions, but shares information with their team, right down to the low man on the totem pole. It's important to this democratic leader to get their advice. At the end, it's all on them. They make the final decision. This is a great way to be a leader. The autocratic leader it's what I say or you take the highway. This autocratic leader does not discuss any kind of decisions with anybody and just goes ahead and changes things. Perhaps you've had a boss like that. Maybe a boss that you knew was not a good leader. And I see some of you smiling, so I know that that has happened to you or to someone that you know. Transformational leaderships focus on strategies that will enable the team to work together to reach their goal as well as reaching individual goals for each team member. It's a little harder to do, but it's so worth it. Communication is so important. Empathy, being humble, having integrity, and inspiration. Are you a democratic leader? Are you an autocratic leader? Or are you a transformational leader? Which one of those are you? Think about it. Leaders inspire others. They adapt their style to each situation. John Maxwell, a very well-known expert in the field of leadership and public speaking, once said, "Knowing how to do a job is the accomplishment of a laborer. Showing others how to do the job is the accomplishment of a laborer." Showing others how the job is done and making sure that the job is done is the accomplishment of a manager. Making sure others are inspired and motivated is the accomplishment of a leader. To lead successfully, there is a leader within every single one of you. Anyone can steer a ship, but only a leader can chart the course of that ship. Think about that. I love showing up every Monday night here on Toastmasters Zoom. You know why? Because leaders are born right before our eyes every week. So for 3 years, I've gotten to see this over and over and over again. And it's almost like a miracle, but it happens every week. So what kind of leader are you? Think about that. I know what kind of leader I am. Do you? Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Connie Andrews. Something for us to ponder. What kind of leader are you? We would love to hear your feedback this evening for all of our speakers. And at this moment right now, Toastmaster Ray Melendez, if you could put the voting card out, everybody could vote and send on a personal chat your feedback. And we're going to end this vote in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's close out the votes at this time. Anyone who has additional feedback, please send that on a chat during the course of this meeting. And at this time, we're going to bring forward the second section of our meeting, which is table topics. And it is an opportunity for the members to develop their extemporaneous speaking skills. This is impromptu speaking. And if our guests this evening would like to participate, please do let us know. At this time, we will introduce Toastmaster Gary Nooper. Let's put our hands together for Toastmaster Gary.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. This evening, table topics will reflect the theme of the meeting, which is Spring is in the Air. I encourage all speaking participants to use our word of the week, transmogrify. I will repeat the topic 2 times and then call on the speaker. So I invite you all to become super present when I announce the topic for the evening. Before we get to the topic, timer please demonstrate the timing signals for table topics this evening?
Yes, table topics master. I will display a green card at 1 minute, a yellow card at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and a red card at 2 minutes. I will clap off the speaker at 2 minutes and 31 seconds.
Thank you, Toastmaster Diana. This evening, we're running a little bit behind time, so I think we'll maybe just do 1 or 2 speeches. The first topic for this evening is, what changes are you planning to make to improve yourself this springtime? What changes are you planning to make to improve yourself this springtime? Toastmaster Susanna.
Spring reminds me of flowers. That's the first thing we all notice, don't we? Every time when there is spring, if you walk out, you see beautiful flowers around you. Basically, it reminds me of being connected with nature. Whenever I have a stressed out day, when I take a walk outside in the nature, it reminds me of how beautiful nature is, untouched, clear blue sky, beautiful trees, beautiful flowers. It reminds me of, wow, the only moment that I have is now, not the stressful day I had that's past, not the anticipation which hasn't even happened about the future. It always brings me back to the very breath, the present moment. So this spring, I would like to focus on being in the present moment as much as possible, not to worry about the past, which I cannot change, and not to worry about the future that hasn't happened yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Susanna. I think that's something that we can all work on this springtime. Our next topic for the evening is, what one place in the world would you like to spend this springtime and why? What one place in the world would you like to spend this springtime and why? Toastmaster Jack.
What one place in the world would I like to spend this springtime and why? Alaska is the one that comes to mind, because we may not see much of Alaska anymore. It seems like it's turning greener and greener every year. And even though I'm not a big fan of the cold, the excitement of seeing that most wilderness of wilderness areas would be inspirational and transmogrifying, in that it's such a beautiful place. I've never been there. I've only seen pictures. I think I want to go by a cruise ship, though. I don't think I want to try the drive, or even an airplane, to take a cruise up there to see the coast and see it in all of its splendor, as well as take an airplane and fly over some of the areas, I think would change my life forever. So I guess I'm going to have to make that happen, and make it happen with my beloved and probably some of my best friends. The summer there and the springtime is just an area of remigration, of change, of rebirth. And that's something we're always doing, rebirthing ourselves and starting anew with what we have, where we've been, where we're going. It all starts again in spring. Winter is a time of rest and hibernation. Spring is a time of youth, beauty, and beginning all over again. Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack. I really like that answer, and I've been trying hard to convince my wife to go to Alaska with me as well. So maybe we'll have to join you. This concludes table topics for the evening. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary Newport. Excellent job on those table topics. brought in the blossoming of spring, as well as our two speakers. Toastmaster Ray Melendez, could you put the poll up as of right now, please?
The polls will be done right after the evaluations, the 3 evaluations. I have them set up.
Okay, perfect. Great. So at this time, I'm going to introduce you the third section of our meeting, which is evaluations, the gift of instant feedback. If you haven't given your feedback yet to those who have spoken, it's a great time just to put a few sentences together for each one of them, as you will be invited to for the next 3 evaluators. First evaluator of the evening is Toastmaster Shay Greaves. But before I introduce to you Toastmaster Shay Greaves, I was just kidding that she was coming up now. I'm going to introduce to you our Toastmaster and General Evaluator, Justin Gwen. Yes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Stacy. In the interest of time, we'll get right to this. As you all know, the evaluations will be 2 to 3 minutes. I trust Toastmaster Diana will be 2 minutes green card, 2.5 minutes yellow card, 3 minutes red card. Without further ado, now we'll introduce you to Toastmaster Shay, who is going to evaluate Toastmaster Denny. Toastmaster Shay.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. I am evaluating Toastmaster Denny. And one thing I would say is if I gave this speech a title, I'm playing around with a couple words. I would say Black Cupid, unbound, boundless, limitless, playing around with those words. He dropped Black Cupid in there so quickly. I was like, did he say Black Cupid? But it's because your birthday is on Valentine's Day. Is that correct? Yes. I would say that this is the second time that I got to hear Denny's story, and it is still just as impactful. I love the themes that you used and how you connected it universally, and also the parallels that you created. So from the American dream to Haiti's harsh realities, how you felt different from other people, but you didn't really understand why. I think even the bonus, you threw in the word of the week. And this is not the first time. This is the second time you did that, because you did it with the first speech as well. So I just want to commend you on that. So 3 highlights, and specifically, I thought it was well organized and well structured. And this is something that I've seen consistently, even with your icebreaker. And that allows for a clear flow and for the audience to actually receive and hear what you're saying. So I commend you on that. Well, I also like your all-in posture. So I believe that you believe what you're saying and you're fully leaning in to your story and to your message, which eliminates the barrier because the audience believes you because you believe yourself. Lastly, your facial expressions. Again, that connects to the authenticity of where you're coming from and how you're connecting to your message and your level of vulnerability. So I want to leave you with 3 challenges. You might want to play around with your tone and volume for natural emphasis. As our President Shastri says, your highs and your lows. He likes to say that. But I would say that creates a clear highlight to draw your audience in if you're speaking lower or if you're speaking higher. You might want to also try different tools to help your audience place themselves in your shoes, especially since this is your personal story. So you asked a question, but you didn't really pause for emphasis to give us time to really think about that, what it would feel like in that moment. Or you could tell the audience to close their eyes and picture something that relates or connects to a point that you're making, or a particular emotion. Finally, I would say you could also experiment with your pacing. If something's happening really fast, you can talk really fast, and then the audience is feeling that this is happening right now. If something happened and you're reflecting on this, you could slow down and slow the pace. So in conclusion, great job. And I can't wait till number 3.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shay. Next, evaluating Toastmaster High on Green, we have Toastmaster Mark Kessler. Please welcome Toastmaster Mark.
Good evening, everyone. And it is my great honor to welcome our guest this evening and to talk about Hyun Green's speech, a winning speech. Truly, Hyun is there to allow us all to bloom within the Toastmaster environment. She is always addressing areas in which we can improve our skill sets and to take upon ourselves the different areas that will improve everything about what we're up to. And that's why we're all sitting here every Monday night. With that, it is always a great pleasure listening to Hyun's skill sets, because she is always a blossom in transmography in order to induce the growth within us all. With that, I love the fact that she used her pauses this evening. She used a subtle way for her to allow herself to accentuate her pronunciations and allow the audience to really stay in tune with where she was guiding us. The importance of all the different areas in which how to bring forth a powerful speech, a speech that allows us to grow within ourselves. So the content was very well defined, very well laid out, you know, in a manner in which that something can be very complicated, but brought down to a very simplified level. And that is something I really appreciate in Hyun's abilities, that she helps guide us through our own growth and our own paths in which we are trying to accomplish throughout this journey within Toastmasters. With that said, it's always a difficult process in order to find corrections or areas in which Hyun is there to grow within herself in this time of spring that we're all growing. There is possibilities of a little bit areas within the process of reading, rather than to show ourselves an ability to memorize more of what you're up to, rather than using all that amazing content that you have available to you on our screens. We all get a little bit used to being able to read off from that. Great wrap up with showing us about how important it is about the content that we use. Love the comfort level, the gestures, the vocal variety. I love the way you had yourself paced back away from the screen in order for us to see everything that you are sharing with us. Also love the grammar and the concise of which you delivered everything. So again, another wonderful speech by our own Hyun Green, and everything that you do for our club and all the clubs around us. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mark. Next, evaluating Toastmaster Connie, we have Toastmaster Michelle. Please welcome Toastmaster Michelle.
General Evaluator, it's my pleasure to thank Connie, first of all, for her clear speech, her effective delivery, and her eye contact. I think those were amazing qualities that you displayed during your speech. Your gestures were appropriate, and you were clear and concise in what you were saying. You knew your subject matter well, and you displayed, if not all, of the value added in your speech, like Toastmaster Hyun Green indicated. You gave us value, you gave us development in your speech, and you also was very effective. I loved how you transmogrify your speech from being a little Tupperware woman who just magically was transformed into a leader in Toastmaster. At this time, I feel that I noticed, that your speech was very effective for the Toastmaster, adding value to your Toastmaster. I loved how you delineate the 3 types of leaders. I also noticed that you leaned in when you ask us questions. It may have been rhetoric in nature, but we still question, what kind of leader am I? I thank you so much for the time that you took to bring that point out from John Maxwell's writing. It really colluded with what you were trying to tell us. And it really resonated with me that there are people who can be transformational in their leadership styles, but there are also people who are just managers and just workers. And I trust that you were trying to evoke in us rather, leadership that is transformational. Your speech did add value. I noticed one thing that I would like to sandwich my praise with, and it was your style. It was very well done, but I would have preferred if you were dressed in a more executive looking manner. Your appearance looked a little laid back and just to be kind, I think that was something that I would have liked to see. I thank you so much for your information, and I do hope and pray that you take us to the next level. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle. We are now going to load the votes. Toastmaster Ray is going to load that one up for us.
And then polls in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, sir. Can I please have the grammarians report? Toastmaster Sonia Grate, please.
General evaluator. So the word transmogrify surprisingly was used correctly 12 times tonight. Congratulations, guys. That was wonderfully done. And in terms of misuse of language, I will say not the specifics, but I did hear some subject-verb agreement. And this usually happens when you speak spontaneously and you're not sure where you will end. And you start maybe in the present tense, and then we have to make a quick turn and end in the past tense. So try and watch those sentences, especially once you start, commit to it, commit to that tense and go through. But I did hear lots of examples of eloquence, which I want to share with you tonight. First, I am the compilation of my experiences. Second, depth of pain he suffered and height of triumph he achieved. Next, the humorous side of leadership. I've never heard those words put together before. Love it. Anyone can steer a ship, but only a leader can chart the course of that ship. And lastly, live in the present moment. Don't worry about the past and don't anticipate the future. And that concludes my report, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia Garate. Next, I will bring you Toastmaster Jack Miller with our all counters report.
Mr. General Evaluator, for our odd counter today, we had 3 double starts, 5 ahs, and 3 you knows. I thought we did pretty good in that regard. I didn't hear as many words of the day as Sonia did, so maybe I wasn't listening quite as well, but I think I got most of them in there. And the dinging is really kind of a difficult one to kind of write it, get it in there, and make it all work, but I hope you heard it a couple of times. And that concludes my grammarian's report, or Akonner's report. I add another ah there.
I probably got another couple more for you coming up too, Toastmaster Jack.
Yeah, I do want one more thing. The following Toastmasters did not have any double starts, ahs or you knows, and that would be Sonia Garate, Denny Lamore, Hyan Green, Gary Newper, and Sujana.
Wonderful job to those individuals. Now we'll move on to my very quick report. Yes, the meeting did start on time. Guests were welcome. I don't believe we're going to finish on time. We did start on time, but by the first speech, we were already 6 minutes behind time. And, I really think that, between the timer and the Toastmaster of the day, need to be coordinating on that to make sure that we're on time, because what happens is we just cut back always on the table topics. And I feel like it doesn't do good justice to the person who signs up for table topics. They're thinking about great questions all day. They have to be creative. And sometimes they have this great creative plan to do, and then all of a sudden they're cut short to 1 or 2 table topics, and it just really isn't fair to that individual. So I think it's really important that we try to keep on time, and in whatever way we can, we try to make up that time. We did skip the invocation today, which I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but that did help out time. Also, another way to help out time is all three speeches were all 5 to 7 minutes. I didn't think we needed to do each of that every single time, 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes with the timer. I think we could have done that once, and that could have saved a little bit of time. But overall, certainly very good job by all roles. Stacy, fantastic job at Toastmaster Day once again, as always. Timer, great use of the backgrounds. Love the backgrounds. Wish I could do that as well. You're definitely on top of all the times. Grammarian, great word. Love the word. People seem to love it. I try to fit it in sometimes, but I always can't think of things on the fly to get those things in. And you captured all those quotes, which were great. Counter. I don't think I ever heard the word today, or I haven't heard the ding today. I think you were on mute the entire time. So if you're gonna have a ding, you gotta be off mute for us to hear. So that doesn't always work either. Evaluations, all fantastic evaluations. You guys did great listening. You guys captured picked out certain things, like the Black Cupid thing just went right. I didn't even hear that, so it's great picking up on that. Great observations as well. Great examples that you all use. So evaluators did a fantastic job once again. That's all for me. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Justin Gwen, General Evaluator. Excellent job tonight on that evaluation. Well-made points. We will all take them to note. I'm going to conclude this meeting with our invocation master, as that person that I'm going to introduce to you right now is going to be Toastmaster. Justin Gwen, you're signed up for that. Are you ready to be spontaneous?
No, I'm signed up for that. I mean, you skipped me, and I was like, well, maybe we're behind time, so it can be skipped, and it's fine. We'll just let it go. Whatever, here I am. I was doing some research today. I'm trying to find a good quote or something for today's speech. I was searching around. I couldn't find anything, and then I was on LinkedIn, as I normally do throughout some days. And one of my old friends, good old friend of mine, she's a couples therapist and relationship expert. She happened to have this picture of this great quote that I found that was perfect today. After I spent like an hour trying to search for stuff, I found this thing. So the quote was, "Resist rushing past the growth offered by the darkest season. Harsh winters deepen the roots required for flourishing in the springtime ahead." I thought that was pretty neat. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Justin Gwen, when we trust the process, it just appeared. That was called actionless action. Great job tonight, Toastmaster General Evaluator Justin Gwen. And I want to say thank you all for showing up for yourself tonight. How will you bloom is the question that you get to be in question about as we continue on. And our Toastmaster guest this evening, Mayana, we would love to hear your feedback on this meeting this evening, and how could this kind of community support you as being a Toastmaster? Mayana.
Thank you, Stacy. I just want to say, Denny, Hyan, and Connie, you guys did a wonderful job this evening. Your speeches were all very intriguing and engaging. So thank you so much. Stacy, all I can say is sign me up. I really think the Wellington Club of Toastmasters will help me transmogrify my speaking capabilities, and I'm really excited to join this group. Thank you.
Thank you. Was this your first meeting in a Toastmasters meeting?
Second, I attended with one of my girlfriends in Ohio, and so they meet at 7 a.m. and I'm not a morning person. So I thought, you know what, let me check my local area, and 6:55 p.m. works for me.
Thank you, Mayana. And who is our Vice President of Membership? I believe that Justin was taking her place this evening, right, Justin?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
General Evaluator.
I can help her. If you want to stay on a few minutes afterwards, I'll tell you what we need to do and we can register.
Perfect. Let's put our hands together and welcome our newest member and family member, Toastmaster Mayana Hammonds. Woo! Let's celebrate. And at this time, I'm going to bring this meeting back to our Vice President of Education to close out the meeting. And my request for you, as I am going to be the Toastmaster of the day next week, is to please, in the next 48 hours, to sign up for your role, your next role. That would be appreciated. Anyone who is not aligned with that, please raise your hand right now. Anyone who's not aligned with signing up in the next 48 hours, raise your hand. So do I have your, oh, Mayana. Okay, Mayana, we're gonna get you hooked up. Anyone else? Okay, so I have your word. Everyone's going to be impeccable with their word. Within the next 48 hours, you will sign up for your next role as a Wellington Toastmaster. Yes? Thumbs up? Yes. Woohoo! Thank you. Toastmaster Shay Graves. Back to you, babe.
Let's put our hands together for Toastmaster of the Day and former President Stacy Kessler. Thank you. Thank you as always. I just want to remind you that if there is a reason that you're going to miss a meeting, you just go ahead and let us know in the notes portion of the agenda. We know that life circumstances do happen, and we love to just be in tune with what's going on in the club and there for each other. It is 8:08 and I release you guys. Have a great week.
Are we going to announce our winners today?
Oh, yes, our winners. Let me
Our
share it on
winners.
the screen for today.
Our winners for today.
Thank
So
you.
before we end this meeting, I want to announce our first place winner for formal speaker. Give a round of applause for Denny Lamore. Awesome job.
Woo!
And in first place for best evaluator, Shay Greaves.
Woo!
And in first place for table topics, give a round of applause for Suhana.
Woo!
Before we close, I'd like to point out that we are in our last few weeks before the re-signing of the dues, so that I ask that if you haven't paid already, a few members have, it's $70. And the easiest way is if you can go pay it through Venmo at Jack-Miller-94 through Venmo. Otherwise, you can send a check or you can call me at 954-520-1715 and we can work out another arrangement. Thank you.
Could you repeat that again? Jack-Miller-94? Is that right?
Jack-Miller-94.
Thank you.
I'll send out an email on it too, so everybody has it.
And Sonia just dropped it in the chat box for everyone, the spelling. Okay, so that completes this meeting. Thank you so much, everyone. Please stay after the exec team. And Mayana, I will set up a breakout room for you and Jack.
Have a great week, everybody.